Okay, so we're continuing our lesson. The lesson is called Natural Selection. And today we're actually going to talk about natural selection. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the slide here. Okay, so if we read the definition of natural selection, it tells you it's a process. Okay, it comes like the word natural, يعني قصده nature is selecting like choosing. Nature is choosing. But what is nature choosing? Nature is choosing which traits are beneficial. Nature is choosing which part of the population survives. Yani, it's a process by which a population's environment means the nature, determines, yani the nature chooses which traits are beneficial and which are not. Let me give you an example. Long time ago there were giraffes with shorter necks. Okay? في giraffes with longer necks. Now, nature, okay, where the giraffes live had tall trees. So giraffes with longer necks were able to reach the trees and eat. Giraffes with shorter necks, okay, were not able to reach the trees. So giraffes with shorter necks eventually died out. So nature chose the traits. The trait here is long neck or short neck. Okay? So which trait survived? The long neck trait. So the giraffes with long necks were able to survive. Giraffes with short necks died out. So here nature selected. Okay? Nature selected which part of the population of giraffes, were able to survive and which part died out. So this is called natural selection. Okay? The environment is deciding who's surviving and who's isn't. Okay? Let's see another example. Look at this. Look at this example here. Okay, so we have these are mice. We have different colored mice. Okay? So you have black mice and you have white mice. Okay? Now if there's a bird, okay, and the bird eats the mice, and this type of bird, okay, would eat which mice do you think? The ones that are white. Why? Because the black mice are able to blend in their environment and it's not easy for the bird to see them. So if you see here, after a while, okay, the black mice were still all the same, 3. Okay, the bird did not eat any of the black mice after a while because the bird did not see the black mice. Okay, so there were more white mice, and then the black bird ate white mice, and then the black mice, they reproduced, they made offspring, they made babies, and they became more black mice. So after a long while, nature selected which trait? Nature selected the black mice to survive. So the black mice are surviving here, but the white mice are dying out because it's easy for the birds to see the white mice and eat them. Okay? So this is another example of natural selection where nature decided what trait, okay, by the trait here we mean the color, the fur color of the mice, what trait survived. And the mice with black are able to survive, the mice with white are not able to survive. White fur. Okay? That's natural selection by evolution. We can talk about it later. There's something called differential survival. Is when organisms of the same species must compete for what they want. Okay? They might fight for food or shelter. Only some organisms survive. Same example as the giraffe. So they are the same species. These have short necks, these have long necks. The giraffes with long necks were able to survive. Short necks are not able to survive. This is called differential survival. Okay? Differential survival. It's when they're from the same population, the same species. okay? And some of the species, some traits survive, some don't, and this is called differential survival. Okay, this is also a type of natural selection. Okay, this is another example of differential survival. Elephants with longer trunks, these are the trunks, the ones with longer trunks can reach food and reach water easier because they have a long trunk. And they're more likely to survive and pass their genes into the next generation. The next generation, they will all have long trunks because the elephants with short trunks were not able to survive. They did not have any children. They died out. And the animals with longer trunks, they survived. So the differential survival is a type of natural selection. Okay, that's another example of natural selection here. These crows, okay, if you see, they eat beetles, and they kind of like the taste of the green beetles. So if you see here in this generation, there are a lot of green beetles, but they ate all the green beetles, and what was left was the orange one. And then a generation later, there were no more green beetles because they died out because they kept eating them, and they left the orange beetles, and the orange beetles kept multiplying and becoming more and becoming more, okay, because no one was eating them, so they were able to survive. So that's nature selecting who survives and who doesn't. Okay, nature selecting which trait is a survival trait and which isn't. In this case, the trait that survived is the color orange, okay, for the beetles. The trait of the beetles that survived, the trait is the color orange. Okay? Okay. We're gonna talk about, this tells you that natural selection is a process that is observed, measured, and tested. Like, they can actually observe, measure, and test this. This is a case study about the brown bear. Okay? Genetic evidence reveals the polar bears most closely related to a species of brown bear living in Alaska. Brown bears show a range of coat colors, from solid brown to brown with light spot. The graph shows the selection pattern of coat color that occurred. The patterns observed in these data help scientists explain how populations have changed. They can also be used to predict. If you see here, okay, what happens is, before there were more brown bears, but now the graph moved this way, and now there's more white bears. There were more brown bears, now there's more white bears, because white bears are able to survive in the environment. In this cold environment, white bears are able to survive better. So that's also a type of natural selection. Okay, and you're gonna know why they're able to survive better, because we're gonna do a kind of case study on this later during the lesson. It's gonna be part of your activities, and you're gonna see why white bears were able to survive more in this type of environment than brown bears, and this is how nature have selected the trait, which is the white fur color, to survive. Okay, later we're gonna take the next part of the lesson, but this is what you need to know about natural selection so far.